Hello, that's Connor, and welcome to my video, JFK. JFK was released in 1991, and it stars by Oliver Stone, and the film stars Kevin Costner as Jim Garrison, Gary Oldman as Leigh Harvey Oswald, the person who supposedly assassinated JFK. The film also stars Tommy Lee Jones as Clay Shaw, Kevin Bacon, Joe Pesci, Michael Rooker, Sally Kirkland, and Donald Sutherland. And basically, if you hadn't guessed already, the film tells the story of the conspiracy theory revolving around the assassination of JFK. And there's a bit more to the plot than that, and just before I get into talking about the plot more and my view of the film, just say two things. First of all, this is actually a true story. There was actually someone called Jim Garrison who actually led an investigation into the conspiracy theory revolving around the assassination of JFK back in the 1960s after the assassination happened. And it is actually a true story. These people were actually real. You know, Tommy Lee Jones plays Clay Shaw. He was a real person. You know, Leigh Harvey Oswald is famously a real person. This is actually all a true story. It's kind of hard to believe when you're watching it, but yeah, it's all a true story. And second thing that I do want to say is, I don't care about conspiracy theories. I honestly don't. You might be saying that right now. You might be saying to yourself, why did you actually watch this film then, if it's about the conspiracy theory revolving around the assassination of JFK? Well, basically, look at the cast to start. It's Kevin Costner, Joe Pesci, Kevin Bacon, Tommy Lee Jones, Gary Oldman, just some of the names that hooked me. And it's fantastic cast, it really, really is. And also the person who scored this film, the person who did the music for this film was the one and only John Williams. Now, if you've watched this channel for a while now, you know that John Williams is by far my favourite film music composer. By this point in 1991, he wasn't just composing any film. And so when I saw his name attached to this film, I was like, oh, this film's got music by John Williams? Oh, that's interesting. And I'm going to talk about his score a bit later, but I'm just going to say it now. His score's absolutely brilliant. I'm going to talk about it again a bit later. But anyway, like I said, there's a bit more to the plot than I previously said. So like I said though, the film revolves around the conspiracy theory revolving around the assassination of JFK. The conspiracy theory investigation is led by Jim Garrison. Jim Garrison played by Kevin Costner in this film. And Jim Garrison was actually a real person. This investigation really did happen. And Jim Garrison himself is actually in this film. He appeared in one of the scenes. I remember my dad telling me, he was like, oh, that's actually Jim Garrison. I was like, oh wow. But Kevin Costner plays Jim Garrison in this film. And he leads the investigation. And basically the investigation is against the CIA and the American government. So if you can imagine, that pisses a few people off, to say the least. Quite a few people are not happy with what Jim Garrison is doing, so quite a lot of people turned against him. At the same time though, at the heart of this film is a relationship between Jim Garrison and his wife and his family. His wife is played by Sally Kirkland in the film, and you see the relationship between them two. You know, it's a really good relationship, because at the heart of the film, that's what the film always goes back to. Yes, the investigation is this long-running plot throughout the film. In fact, I would even say it's the main plot of the film. But at the subplot of the film, you have this relationship between Jim Garrison and his wife and his family. And you see the effects that the investigation has on his family in the film. You know, people are targeting Jim Garrison's kids in the film. He has young kids and people are targeting them. You see the effects on the investigation on his family and also on his wife. His wife keeps saying that he cares more about the investigation than he does about his family. And that's the heart of the film. But mainly the film centers around the investigation. And as the investigation goes on, Jim Garrison and his team dives into the life of Leigh Harvey Oswald, because he's the person who supposedly assassinated the president. But there's more to him than meets the eye. For example, through him we meet Joe Pesci's character, Kevin Bacon's character, Tommy Lee Jones' character, Clay Shaw, who are all real people, by the way. They're all playing real people who really were around during this time. And Clay Shaw, played by Tommy Lee Jones' film, becomes increasingly important throughout the whole of the film. I'm not going to spoil it in case you haven't seen it, but yeah, he becomes increasingly important as the film progresses. And also as the film progresses, the film becomes a lot more intense. And the relationship between Jim Garrison and his family, you know, he's played on a bit more, and the plots come together in quite a nice way. And the third act of this film, even so, you know, there isn't a definitive end to this story. We don't know who assassinated JFK for certain. And, you know, quite a lot of people still think it's Oswald. If you watch this film, your opinion might change a bit, and I'm going to get into that a bit later. But, you know, there isn't a definitive answer to this story, who assassinated JFK. And there isn't a definitive answer at the end of this film. In fact, the film actually leaves it quite open. But the weird thing was, it's not an underwhelming end, and it's not an unfulfilling end. In fact, I actually think the end of this film is absolutely brilliant. I think the third act of this film is absolutely incredible. It's one of the best third acts I've ever seen in film history. And that leads me into my opinion on the film. I'm not going to beat around the bush with my opinion on this film, because honestly, I've been thinking about doing this review for a while now. I've seen the film twice, and I just wanted to get my opinion out there. So I think this film is absolutely incredible. It's one of the best films I've ever seen. And I don't use that term lightly. I also don't use this term lightly. I think it's one of the most important films I've ever seen. Like I said before, I'm not a fan of conspiracy theories. I'm really not. But this film is over 3 hours. This film's about 3 hours, 10 minutes. And I was intrigued through the whole of the film. It doesn't feel 3 hours and 10 minutes, it feels about 2 hours and a half, even a bit less than that really. But I was intrigued through the whole of this film. I really was. Because before the film, I saw the runtime and I thought, oh, it's going to be quite a slow film then. You know, I might build up towards the end, it's going to be quite a slow film. Boy, was I wrong. This film is really fast paced. And that leads me into my first praise of the film. The film is incredibly well edited. Now, for a lot of people, editing isn't a big issue in films. You know, just watch a film, it's got, you know, normal editing and everything, and you don't really notice it. In this film, the editing is incredible. Honestly, it's like documentary editing. You know, there's moments in the film that feels so realistic because of the way it's edited. For example, there's a lot of flashback scenes in the film which were actually shot for the film, by the way. They're not, you know, real life flashback scenes. They're flashback scenes shot for the film. And they're in the film, and at the same time they cut to the present scenes in the film. And, you know, they're edited so well together. And then you get, like, old images and old archival footage edited so well together. That's just exemplified for the first 5 minutes of the film. Honestly, the first 5 minutes of the film, you get this introduction to who JFK was, what he did, you know, in Vietnam, what he did for the black community, what he did for America, and then you see real life footage of the assassination taking place. And then for the whole of the film, the editing starts to pick up again. And then the third act of the film is so well edited. You think when they got to the third act of the film, they might be a bit tired of editing? No, the third act of the film is absolutely incredibly edited. It really is. Honestly, the third act of the film is, I can't be stressed enough, it's incredible. I'm going to get onto that again a bit later. But yeah, the editing of the film is absolutely incredible. I think it got an Oscar for its editing of the film, and honestly, it deserved it. If you don't really believe me in terms of the editing of the film, honestly, go and watch the film. It is so brilliantly edited. Also, the cinematography of the film is brilliant. Honestly, some of the shots that you see in the film are absolutely fantastic. My favourite shot of the whole film is the last shot. It's an absolutely fantastic shot. It's just one shot in the whole film, but it's absolutely fantastic shot. And it's just, the cinematography in the film is absolutely brilliant. And the music of this film is utterly fantastic. This is one of my all-time favourite John Williams scores. I'm surprised this John Williams score isn't talked about amongst some of his best, like the Indiana Jones music and the Jurassic Park and Star Wars. I'm surprised it isn't amongst those. But honestly, the score for this film is incredible. Just the JFK theme, just the main theme, is one of my all-time favourite themes. Absolutely incredible theme, just that theme alone. But then you also get the dark themes in the film. You know, when the start to uncover something about Leigh Harvey Oswald, or something about JFK, or something about the American government, and you get this dark, you know, this dark musical theme going on in the background, and it works really well. Honestly, the score for this film is absolutely incredible. One of my favourite John Williams scores, and honestly, I have a lot of favourite John Williams scores, but I rank this among some of his best. The score for this film is incredible. And also the performances of the film are all incredible. Kevin Costner is absolutely brilliant in the film. Honestly, he's incredible in the film. His performance is so fantastic in the film. Honestly, there are loads of moments of the film when he would just be delivering so many, you know, long strands of dialogue, you know, monologue scenes, and he delivers it so well. And also, by the way, Kevin Costner actually looks a bit like the real life Jim Garrison in this film especially. And I was like, oh wow, they did really well with the casting there. And also the film has a lot of other fantastic performances. Joe Pesci is brilliant in the film. Honestly, I've been reviewing a few Joe Pesci films recently, you know, like Casino and Goodfellas, and they're gangster films. And as good as he is in those films, and he is really good in those films, especially Goodfellas, he is really good in this film, and he's really different than he is in those films. He gives off a very different performance, you know, and there's one line of dialogue in particular with his character that's stuck in me, like, no one knows who assassinated JFK, not even the shooters know who assassinated JFK, like that, and it's such a fantastic piece of dialogue, and he delivers it so well. It's one of the pieces of dialogue in the film that just stick with you so much. And Joe Pesci is brilliant in this film. Tommy Lee Jones also brilliant in the film. I can completely understand why he got nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. His performance in the film is absolutely brilliant. Kevin Bacon's great in the film. Donald Sutherland is great in the film, even for the little time he's in there. He is fantastic in the film. And also Gary Oldman is great in the film. He plays Leigh Harvey Oswald, the person who supposedly killed JFK, although your opinion on that might change when you get to the end of the film. I'm going to talk about that shortly. But anyway, Gary Oldman is fantastic in the film. I expected to see him a bit more in the film though, because you know he plays Oswald, the person who supposedly did the assassination. But honestly, when he's in it, he's fantastic, and he's actually in quite a bit of the third act, and he's really good in the film. And yeah, the performances from everyone are honestly fantastic. Even Michael Rooker, who wasn't really a famous actor at the time, he gives off a fantastic performance in the film as well. The direction in the film is honestly incredible. You know, truthful or not, this is a fantastic piece of film. It really is. Whether you believe it or not, just watch the film. It's honestly fantastic to watch. You know, it's one of the most entertaining but at the same time intriguing and interesting films I've ever watched. And not only is that, you know, shown through the dialogue, but it's also shown through the incredible filmmaking of this film. I do, however, have one slight criticism of the film, and it is the reason why I had to watch this film twice. Basically, there was a couple of moments when Kevin Costner's character is delivering, you know, a fantastic piece of dialogue. He's delivering this fantastic monologue in the film. They're throwing so much information to you at once, and you just kind of like, oh, okay, can you slow down? The fact that the fact that, you know, so much information is thrown at you at once in a couple of scenes. However, that one slight criticism actually led me to watching the film a second time, and on a second viewing, I actually liked the film a lot more. Don't get me wrong, on the first viewing of the film, I thought this film was absolutely fantastic, one of the best films I've seen. But on the second viewing, I loved the film because it was so. I understood the plot a lot more. Like on the first viewing, I wasn't knowing what I was going in for. The second viewing, I understood what was going on a lot more, especially knowing what you know by the end of the film. The first time, watching it a second time, you can start to piece things together and only like, oh my god, wow, that, you know, that actually makes a lot of sense. Whether it's truthful or not, I don't know. But quite a lot of things that they find out in the investigation in this film make a lot of sense. Honestly, they do. And the film is absolutely fantastic. And like I said, it's going to change perception on who assassinated JFK. You know, whether you get to the end of the film, you still believe, yeah, I still think it was Leigh Harvey Oswald, or whether you don't. I think this film changes perception on the assassination in general. Honestly, it's absolutely amazing. Like, when it cuts together, or everything cut together. I don't know how Oliver Stone made this film. I don't know how he shot it. I don't know how long it took to shot it. It must have been forever, and I don't know how long it took to edit this film. But honestly, it is incredible to watch. It's an incredible piece of film. It really is. Just watching the film progress and watching everything unfold is done in such a fantastic way. The parts of the film that feel so realistic, and the parts of the film that edited so well, they just constantly have your eyes glued to the screen, and the heart of the film works. Garrison's relationship with his wife and his family, that works so well. You know, coming back to that, it's absolutely compelling. You know, the heart of the film, at the same time, the investigation's so compelling. And I can't reiterate enough, I'm not a fan of conspiracy theories. I don't care about them. But watching this film, I was intrigued from start to finish. It does take a tiny bit of time to find its feet, but once it finds its feet, it runs, it sprints, and it's absolutely fantastic to watch. All in all, I think I'm going to say that JFK is a 9 out of 10. I keep having a lot of high ratings recently, don't I? But it really is. Honestly, even so my slight criticism of the film, like so much information is running to you at once, it's still fantastic, and not allowing to watch it a second time when I liked it even more. It's honestly fantastic. Amazing performances, amazing musical score, amazing cinematography, incredible editing, and an all-round incredible film. Whether you believe it or not, this is a fantastic piece of cinema. All in all, I'm going to give JFK a 9 out of 10 from me. Anyway guys, what do you think of JFK? Do you love it to hate it? Or have you just not watched it? And if not, why not? Please do comment below and know your thoughts in the comment section below. Honestly, truthful or not, this is an incredible piece of cinema. Go and watch the film, and it's absolutely incredible. I can't recommend it enough. Absolutely incredible film. Anyway guys, thank you as always for watching, and if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like, subscribe on this video, and look forward to many more, both film and TV reviews coming very soon on this channel. See you guys again soon, but bye for now. Bye!